Tonight on Reporting Scotland, crisis-hit NHS Tayside has a new chairman and chief executive this evening. More checks needed on 17 Edinburgh schools as the council criticises the building consortium in charge of repairs. Another 5 medals for Scotland at the Commonwealth Games, including gold for Katie Archibald in the velodrome.
It's been a big target for a long time to kind of plant my name on an international stage. Like, I've been national champion, I've been European champion, but I really wanted this. I wanted the prestige of individual pursuit. Here I am.
Also in the programme, sugary drinks are now more expensive as new tax comes into force. And what makes the North Coast 500 so special? A research post being advertised to bring the route's history to life. Good evening. NHS Tayside has a new acting chief executive tonight and a new interim chair. It comes after the Scottish Government put the troubled Health Board into special measures. Health Secretary Shona Robson welcomed the resignation of Chairman John Connell this morning. The position of Chief Executive Leslie Macleay remains unclear. Concerns had been raised about the board's financial management. Stephen Godden reports.
Treating patients against the backdrop of financial difficulties and the problems at NHS Tayside are becoming ever more apparent. £40 million in government loans to protect services, evidence to MSPs about misleading information over the state of the board's finances, and then fresh controversy that's cost the chairman his job.
Earlier this week, it emerged that the Health Board had temporarily suspended its own rules so that a charitable endowment fund could be used to retrospectively cover financial commitments. The chairman insisted the money had been used appropriately, but the episode proved to be the final straw.
On Wednesday, Professor John Connell stressed he hadn't been in the job when those decisions were taken.
Can people have faith in the way that this organisation is being run by senior management?
I believe they can.
But the Health Secretary didn't agree, and this morning she welcomed his resignation.
I think it's a culmination of issues here in NHS Tayside that has meant that issue after issue has emerged, and there has been an inability of the leadership within NHS Tayside to get a grip on that, despite all of the efforts and help that have been given. And that's why it is time for change.
The aim of placing the Health Board in special measures was regime change. By this evening, Chief Executive Leslie Macleay, here on the right, was also no longer in post, and a new interim team had been appointed. John Brown, Chair of NHS Glasgow, and Malcolm Wright, the CEO of NHS Grampian.
I think there is a real and strong future for NHS Tayside. I think there are real prospects of getting through this into a better place. And I do think while it may take some months to produce the necessary transformation, once that gets underway over a period of 2 to 3 years, I think we'll begin to see real improvements.
As for the timing, the Health Secretary rejects any suggestion action has come too late. Political opponents say questions need to be answered in Parliament.
This is Shona Robinson's own backyard. This is her local constituency. If she can't even get her own local health board right, what confidence can we have that she can run the NHS right across Scotland?
The outgoing chairman of NHS Tayside insists patient care hasn't been compromised by financial problems. His claim that the Health Board is on the right course will be tested under someone else's leadership. Stephen Godden, Reporting Scotland, Dundee.
Edinburgh Council's chief executive has severely criticised the consortium in charge of looking after 17 schools in the city amid ongoing concern about building defects. It came after the local authority said Edinburgh Schools Partnership had failed to carry out repairs properly on Oxgangs Primary, prompting the council to do the work itself. Andrew Black is there for us tonight. Andrew, how much concern is there about this?
Well, Sally, the mood here is quite simply anger. Anger from the parents who send their kids to this school and anger from Edinburgh City Council. Now, Oxgangs Primary is one of 17 schools which were built under the same private finance scheme. Edinburgh Council says it's now going to inspect each and every one of those school buildings to make sure they're safe. The problems at Oxgangs Primary go back to 2016 when 9 tonnes of masonry fell from one of its walls. In February this year, a pupil was hit by a falling ceiling tile and the roof was damaged by wind in March. Oxgangs Primary is one of 17 schools built and managed by a private consortium, Edinburgh Schools Partnership. It told Edinburgh Council the building had been made safe, but an inspection carried out by the local authority said this wasn't the case. Now the council says it's been forced to make the repairs itself.
We're very disappointed at Edinburgh Schools Partnership in that they state they've done one thing and we've inspected it. We found different results, and we are going to hold Edinburgh Schools Partnership to account.
Richard Imlich has 2 children who go to Oxgangs Primary. He says the parents are frustrated and extremely concerned.
Parents are wondering what's going to happen next. Are we assured? How can we ever know the building is safe? No one can probably ever be sure for 100%.
We went to the registered office of Edinburgh Schools Partnership, but we were told there was nobody available for interview today. After our visit, Edinburgh Schools Partnership issued a statement in which a spokesman said, "We're aware of the statement issued by the City of Edinburgh Council this morning and we're currently reviewing all issues regarding ongoing work at Oxgangs Primary School. We will be releasing more information once this review has been complete." Edinburgh Council says it's confident that Oxgangs Primary will be open by the time pupils return to school from their holidays in just over a week's time. Meanwhile, Edinburgh Council bosses are due to have a crunch meeting next week with representatives from Edinburgh Schools Partnership. They say the tone at that meeting will be robust. Andrew Black, reporting Scotland, Edinburgh.
Day 2 at the Commonwealth Games in Australia, and Team Scotland's added to its medal haul, bringing the total to 10. Siblings Katie and John Archibald made it a family affair in the velodrome. Katie secured her 2nd gold, while her brother took silver. And there were also medals in the pool. Rona McLeod has all today's action.
There was huge anticipation in the velodrome tonight for Katie Archibald to deliver a gold for Team Scotland. And she didn't disappoint. Gold in the 3 kilometres individual pursuit, beating the Australian home favourite.
It's been a big target for a long time to kind of plant my name on an international stage. Like, I've been national champion, I've been European champion, but I really wanted this. I wanted the prestige of individual pursuit. Here I am.
And then, not to be outdone, the 2nd member of the Archibald family on the medal table, big brother John in the 4 kilometre pursuit.
I'm really pleased with what I've got. It's been an incredible journey thus far. So yeah, silver in Commonwealth Games. I couldn't, well, as a sports fan watching from home, that's a dream. So it's a dream come true, really. Yeah.
Absolutely over the moon. What can I say? Hoarse, speechless, and just mega excited and delighted for them, both of them. Yeah.
Well, it's been a jam-packed night for Team Scotland here in the Aquatics Centre, and the first medal on the board of the night came for Duncan Scott, a bronze in the 200 metres freestyle in a field that was absolutely stacked with multiple Olympic champions.
Yeah, I mean, I don't go into many races believing that I can't win. You know, that was one of them as well, so to come away not winning, you know, I'm slightly disappointed, but yeah, you know, I'll be looking to see how I can better that in the summer.
And then the heavens opened, but that was of no concern to Mark Sharnick, who won silver in the 400 metres individual medley.
No, conditions were exactly how I wanted them to be, if I'm honest. I wanted it to be raining. I would have liked a little more wind, if I'm honest. Kind of put the other guys off. I was ready for anything.
And there was more to come from the pool. The men's 4x100 metres relay team ended the night with a bronze.
Phenomenal job from these 3 other boys, and then the 4 other boys in the heats. You know, it's been an 8x1 as we've been calling it. So yeah, you know, the preparations for this have been in months and years. So yeah, to finally let it happen and get that medal is really deserved.
I think we made the best of it, and dropping a 2nd from the morning heat, which was already a Scottish record, I think just shows the quality and depth that the team have currently.
So that's the end of day 2, and 10 medals have been won, including 5 here at the pool. It is early days, but the signs are looking good that Team Scotland will be able to deliver their most successful games ever overseas. Rona McLeod, reporting Scotland in the Gold Coast.
The family of a Glasgow woman who's been missing for 2 months have made an appeal for information. 47-year-old Julie Riley was last seen on CCTV on the 6th of February in an Aldi store in the city's Govan area. She was reported missing 9 days later. Her mother says Julie's disappearance is out of character.
If you are out there somewhere, Julie, please let us know you are okay. We are also sick with worry for your safety. We love you so much, Hen, and need you back here at home safe with us. If anybody anywhere knows of Julie's whereabouts, please don't let us go on like this. I'm begging you from the bottom of my heart.
Detectives from Northern Ireland are appealing for information in Scotland to help them solve a 30-year-old murder mystery. German backpacker Inga Maria Heuser was last seen on a ferry from Stranraer to Larne on the 6th of April 1988. Her body was found 2 weeks later in a remote forest location in County Antrim. The new tax year kicks off in Scotland today with significant changes to the system. Many will pay less tax, but some will pay more. Ministers say extra funds will now be raised for local services, but Labour see the shift as a missed opportunity. The Conservatives say a high-tax Scotland will hit growth. Our political correspondent Andrew Kerr has been looking at the figures.
It's a new year, not quite as fun as fireworks and first footing. The 6th of April marks the start of the new tax year.
At the end of the month, you'll get your first payslip with the changes that were approved by MSPs in the budget. There are now 5 tax bands. An extra £219 million will be raised.
The Scottish Government says 70% of Scots will pay slightly less than last year. However, you'll start to pay extra this year if you earn more than £33,000. And you'll be paying more than your counterpart in the rest of the UK if you earn £26,000 or above. It's a taxing issue on the streets of Glasgow.
I'm paying a lot more tax, about £1,000 a year more tax, and I'm not happy.
They're going to charge what they're going to charge. Can't really stop them from doing anything, so you just got to pay what you've got to pay, and that's it.
I think that's fair. I think if you're earning more, you should be paid more.
The Finance Secretary is defending the changes.
With a real terms reduction to Scotland's budget from the Westminster Government, we've taken the decision to change the tax bands in Scotland. Now, I mean actually a more progressive tax system, and I mean a fairer tax system as well.
For Labour, it doesn't go far enough.
People can't get NHS appointments, there are less teachers in schools, performance is sliding in education, and the reality is that Derek Mackay and the SNP have missed an opportunity here by tinkering with the tax system.
But for the Conservatives, it's too much.
Raising taxes doesn't usually help the economy. It sends out a very bad signal that Scotland's going to be the highest tax part of the United Kingdom, and I think it deters people from thinking about coming to Scotland.
We might have to wait until next year to see how the changes in our pay packets affect public services. Andrew Kerr, reporting Scotland.
From a tax on our income to one on our taste buds, a sugar tax on soft drinks comes into effect from today, aimed at tackling obesity. It means that soft drinks with a high sugar content are now subject to a tax that could be more than 20 pence a litre. More from Aileen Clark.
With the arrival of the sugar levy, it's thought that will work out around 24 pence on the cost of a litre of our most sugary fizzy drinks. That works out around 8 pence more a can. Around half of drinks makers have reduced their sugar since the soft drinks industry levy was announced, including bars who make Iron Brew. But at 21%, just over a fifth of the sugar we are consuming in Scotland comes from fizzy drinks alone. So a levy on drinks still high in sugar is seen as a welcome start by those promoting a healthier lifestyle.
We do know that the amount of sugary drinks that have been consumed in Scotland has been going down moderately over the last few years, but the amount of overall sugar that we have consumed hasn't gone down. So it's about the sugary drinks, but also about decreasing the amount of sugar we get from other products such as cakes and chocolates.
Dentists say teeth as well as waistlines can be badly affected. With fizzy drinks producing more acid, sugary fizzy drinks are a double whammy.
Adding sugar into that then exacerbates that effect, and you finish up with the acid washing away the living enamel and the sugar causing you to have larger cavities in your teeth.
In Glasgow today, we sought reaction to the levy and the UK government's attempt to send a strong message about sugar.
If people really want the sugar, they're just going to pay same as they did with cigarettes.
So it's bad enough what people have got to pay. They're finding things difficult now, getting in shops, paying money for goods without paying extra.
I work in healthcare myself, and the number of overweight and obese people is going through the roof. And anything that sort of helps change behaviour, I think would be really useful.
If they put the prices up, maybe the kids can't afford that much. So I think it's all right.
Donna Doherty is very careful these days about the kinds of snacks and drinks she has and allows her daughter. However, just a few years ago, sugary drinks were very much part of what she says was a very unhealthy diet. She was more than 15 stone. She's lost more than 6, and that's meant a complete change in what she eats and drinks.
So I got up, went downstairs, threw out all the junk food, crisps, sweets, chocolates, biscuits, everything went in the bin. The fizzy drinks all got poured down the sink. I didn't want to be that unhappy person anymore.
The Scottish Government is expected to set out its obesity strategy later this year. Aileen Clark, Reporting Scotland.
You're watching BBC Reporting Scotland. It's 7:15. A reminder of tonight's top story. Crisis hit NHS Tayside has a new chairman and chief executive in place this evening. And still to come, from Edinburgh to Oz, how training on the beach at Portobello has helped Team Scotland's beach volleyballers on the Gold Coast. Workers whose jobs are on the line at the Pinnies fish processing factory in Annan have held a protest against company plans to close it. At the same time, the first meeting of an action team was held in Dumfries to plan a strategy to save the plant, or at least salvage some of its 450 jobs. It's emerged that 3 third-party concerns have expressed possible interest in the site. Willie Johnson reports.
3 days on, the mood has turned from shock to anger and fear for the future. For some, the stakes are especially high.
I have very close family, a whole household who is going to be unemployed if something isn't seriously done. Not just my family, but as you can see, the support that we've got, they all have members of family or close friends that work here, and it is going to have a major impact on this town as a whole.
450 jobs are on the line here, many of them European migrants who have made Annan their home.
I'm working here. In November it will be 11 years. We came here for better life, for do something different, good money. Came here for that.
Workers were joined in the lunchtime protest by townspeople who have rallied behind them amid concern for the impact of lost wages on the local economy. News began to spread of possible outside interest in the factory in the event of parent company Young Seafood pressing ahead with closure, and its site visits could happen as early as next week. And that was confirmed when a Pinnies Action Group, convened by Dumfries and Galloway Council, met for the first time. It comprises local councillors and MSPs and the government minister responsible for business.
In the event that redundancies do happen, we would clearly be very interested in speaking to any inward investors, and the Scottish Government stands ready to support an inward investor coming in to the site Annan to try and sustain employment. We recognise how important it is to the local economy to retain those jobs in whatever shape or form we can in Annan.
The action team, which meets again next week, will concentrate initially on trying to persuade Youngs to stay here. But if that fails, the fact that there is already outside interest in the site gives rise to hope, if not yet optimism, that jobs here can be salvaged. Willie Johnston, Reporting Scotland, Annan.
Local councils are being allocated a further £10 million from the Scottish Government to help pay for damage to roads caused by the extended winter weather. Finance Secretary Derek Mackay said the severe conditions had led to unexpected additional costs to maintenance budgets and caused more damage to the road network. A new PhD has been launched by the University of the Highlands and Islands aimed at gathering the history of the area surrounding the North Coast 500 route. It's hoped the work will bring Highland history to life. A digital app is also to be developed. Ian McInnes has more.
Since its launch in 2015, the North Coast 500 has transformed tourism in the North Highlands, bringing large numbers of visitors to the area. But now the history of the region is to come into focus with a new PhD for one lucky student.
Well, the North Coast 500 for me is much more than just a touring route. It's about adding layer and depth to experiences. So having the PhD is just fantastic because I'm actually going to be looking in depth at the history, the culture and all the things that make up the wonderful North Coast 500.
From Ben Vraggy, the Duke of Sutherland and the clearances, to more recent history such as the Ascent buyout, it's hoped that these elements of history and heritage can be brought together to enrich the experience for those travelling on the North Coast 500.
It's absolutely vital to have something like this. History, culture, identity make the region. And, you know, these are questions that a PhD student can address and will address. And so, yeah, it's to my mind, it's a no-brainer. It should be done.
It's hoped a new digital app will also be developed by the student, bringing Highland heritage to life for visitors to the area.
History is a very large part of this part of the country, and it's not that it's been forgotten about, but I don't think it's been particularly singled out either. And the charm of the NC 500 is it gives a bit of everything.
But there is a feeling more could be being done to promote the area's history, something local businesses are already trying to do themselves.
It's been tourism, angling tourism here, you know, for well, nearly 150 years, and everybody knows Scotland as the home of golf, but does everybody think of it as the home of salmon fishing?
The 3-year studentship starts in October, and it's hoped it will add a new dimension to the already popular route. Ian McInnes reporting Scotland on the North Coast 500.
Back to the Commonwealth Games now. Team Scotland's beach volleyball players trained on the east coast in Portobello through all kinds of weather for these games. Both the men and women were in action in much sunnier conditions in the Gold Coast today. Jane Lewis was watching.
This sport is a hot ticket. No one wants to miss out, and it's little wonder.
Well, beach volleyball is making its Commonwealth Games debut, and what a setting here as Scotland enter the fray for their opening match.
And there's plenty of support, although this family split ahead of Scotland against Sri Lanka.
We can't lose, so we bought the tickets in June, you know, months before the draw. And so it was pretty funny when we opened up the email to see which game we'd got, and it was Sri Lanka, Scotland, so perfect.
My dad sent me it over so that anything like this I could be dressed for the part, so I've made my boyfriend wear his Scotland top and I've worn my kilt for today.
When the action got underway, it was athletic, noisy and dramatic.
Scotland for the win.
The men were up first and a tight game.
Pradeep leaps, and there is!
But Scotland won through in 3 sets.
Electric. It was amazing when we got introduced. You know, the whole crowd was behind us. It was amazing throughout. It was awesome.
There's a lot of Scots here, actually.
Yeah, we couldn't believe it. The roar from the Scottish fans was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant to have that support.
You're right. Best of luck.
There was a quick family reunion before the women took to the court.
Set point number 2, Scotland.
And they had it easier against Grenada as they eased to victory.
We love a lot of noise, whether it's for or against us. We really like a kind of atmosphere. I think we raise our game for that, definitely.
Lynn, it's a wee bit different from Portobello Beach, isn't it?
Just a little bit, yeah. I mean, we've been out here for a few weeks now, so it seems like we've never trained in the cold and the wind.
So, victories for both of Scotland's beach volleyball teams. A memorable debut to their games at a memorable venue. Jane Lewis, reporting Scotland, Gold Coast.
The world's biggest balloon sculpture has been created in Edinburgh as part of the International Science Festival. Using 30,000 balloons, it took a team of artists and volunteers 6 days to build. The installation in the National Museum of Scotland represents, believe it or not, a black hole. Let's see how the weekend weather is shaping up. No black holes, I hope.
It's been quite the mixed bag of weather this week, Sally. Thank you very much. Good evening to you. Yes, we've had a fair amount of cloud and really quite wet weather today across much of the west and indeed in the north too. Tonight, though, that rain moving at a pace away to the north and to the east. Some rain lingering across the Western Isles and through the northwest Highlands, and that rain here will be accompanied by strong south to southwesterly winds. Otherwise, though, it becomes predominantly dry. Some clear spells developing especially through the east of Scotland, and we're expecting a frost-free night with temperatures typically around 4 to 7 Celsius. Tomorrow then and the weekend as a whole, we can offer a good deal of dry weather, although there will be a fair amount of cloud around. I think the rain turning lighter and patchier across the northwest, although we will begin to see some rain feeding into the far south as we go through the course of the afternoon. Tomorrow in more detail, I think across the Northern Isles a good deal of dry weather here, some brightness around the odd shower for Caithness. The best of the sunshine tomorrow afternoon across the northeast, and in the sunshine here temperatures will lift to a fairly mild 14 or 15 Celsius. Just the first signs of that rain beginning to edge into the borders tomorrow afternoon. Along the west coast and through the Western Isles, a lot of dry weather, some brightness and some sunshine on offer. Just the odd spot of showery rain perhaps for Lewis and Harris and through the northwest Highlands. Temperatures typically around 10 to 13 Celsius with a light to moderate south to southwesterly breeze. For hill walking and climbing tomorrow, for the more western ranges there will be a lot of cloud around, some outbreaks of rain and sleet for the ranges in the northwest Highlands, leading to some locally poor visibility. Relatively mild though on the tops, around 5 to 9 Celsius. With winds from the southwest around 15 to 25 miles per hour. And for the more eastern ranges, there will be some breaks in the cloud at times. Around 6 to 10 degrees here, winds from the south or the southwest around 10 to 15 miles per hour. Into tomorrow evening, some rain pushing into Dumfries and Galloway for a time. That rain will slowly peter out during tomorrow night, and again some showery rain across the far north and northwest. Sunday though, that rain will fizzle out during the morning here. A lot of dry weather to come with some spells of brightness and sunshine and feeling relatively mild. That's the forecast. Sally.
Thanks so much, Christine. A reminder now of tonight's main news. The former Russian agent Sergei Skripal is no longer in a critical condition and is responding well to treatment. He's been recovering at Salisbury District Hospital after being poisoned with a nerve agent at the beginning of March. And at the Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast, Scotland have won 5 more medals, with Katie Archibald racing to gold in the velodrome. And that is Reporting Scotland. I'll be back with the headlines at 8 and the late bulletin just after the 10 o'clock news. Join me then if you can. But until then, from everyone on the team right round the country, have a good evening. Bye-bye.